What a game of football. Fulham 4, Man City 5. First and foremost, we're just all football fans, right? And when you get a great game of football like that, you just sit back, you tuck in, you almost forget about what it means for the league table. But with every goal that was going in for Fulham, I started going, wait, I remember exactly what this means for the league table, and I'm keeping a really close eye on this. Fulham gave it a really good go. It wasn't to be. They fell short of one goal. And I don't know what to make of Man City. I'm utterly lost in terms of trying to analyse and understand this team, because the elements that they start getting better at seems to take away from another area of their game. Now, not long ago, people were saying that City had only conceded 3 more goals than Arsenal, and that defensively they've been great in 2025. And look, the stats and the data prove that to be true. But they've conceded a lot of goals since: 2 against Newcastle, 2 against Leeds, 2 against Leverkusen, now 4 against Fulham. But they've managed to ultimately get wins and score goals as well. They were value for a couple goals at St James's Park. They created chances. Haaland and Foden should have scored. And I think on another day, City put the exact same performance in at St James's Park and actually win. Now, against Leeds, they were in cruise control early in that game. But something went wrong, and at one point they're 3-0 up against Fulham by half time. Ends up being 3-1 at half time. And then they're 5-1 early into the second half. Now, when I look at those things, Foden scoring goals, doing the kind of things he did in 23-24, slapping it in the top corner whenever he fancies it, basically, being the match winner, being a decisive player for Manchester City. Whatever Pep Guardiola has done to, just little tweaks he's made to the team, it's got Phil Foden scoring again, or you credit the player for simply rediscovering his form. But whatever is happening at Man City, it's getting more out of Phil Foden. Doku is becoming a more productive player as well. Reinders in on the goals. Haaland is not just scoring, but lovely sort of strength and pass and awareness to provide that assist for Tijani Reinders. And I'm sat there going, City are clicking. And this, I've got to be honest, by half time, I was feeling like this is more what I was worried about with Man City. People thought the Liverpool win was that kind of statement result, but I felt that in this game they were showing tendencies of like that relentlessness they can have when it comes to title races. But Smith Rowe had an effort kind of go straight into Donnarumma, and Fulham were creating chances too. And I thought, well, Fulham might nick a goal or two here, but City looked rampant. And then somehow, Man City started to fall away in terms of their shape. They were losing duels. They were getting bullied in the centre of the park by Fulham. And they conceded 4 goals in another game that should have been comfortable, like ultimately Leverkusen at home, like Leeds, like this one. Even though they only lost the Leverkusen game, it ended up becoming far more stressful and far more effort and far more exertion than it ever should be for them. From 5-1 up, you should not be going life and death with Fulham, but they did. Now, Fulham are a spirited side. Fair play to Marco Silva, fair play to Iwobi, to Smith Rowe. Kevin came on and nearly made things happen at the very end. They've got that youngster, Josh King, looks brilliant. Chuck Wasey made an impact. Like, they are good players, Fulham. They're a good team. But from 5-1 in particular, like, I think if this had been 1-0 or 2-1, and City were holding on the way they did, I'd have said resilient. Fine, you found a way. Like, it's just, it can be difficult to win away from home in the Premier League, and you got it done. But it's the fact that they have such a commanding position that makes me go, are they not only weaknesses defensively, but maybe weaknesses mentally too? Because from commanding position against Leeds and Fulham, this is what's ultimately come of your 2 matches. Now, let me say what does worry me about City a little bit. Like, as an Arsenal fan, hoping that we can maintain a bit of a gap, hoping that we can finally go and win our first Premier League title since 2004. What worries me about City is others are chipping in with goals. They are showing a variety to their goals. They are doing that thing where basically anyone can pop it in the top corner every now and again. And they feel like quite relentless attackers. And they've got, like, ultimately, when you look at their team, O'Reilly and Nunes, the fullbacks, are midfielders too, so they can make things happen in the final third. And then the likes of Doku, Foden, and Bernardo Silva, Shirky, when they start ticking and playing, Ryan, as I mentioned, around Haaland, I think they've got as much attacking quality, if not the most attacking quality, in the league, and that does concern me. Like I said, they talked a lot about 2025 being actually a calendar year in which City showed a lot of defensive resilience. But watching their games, they never really showed that. It always felt like you could get at them with some decent combinations, some good coaching, some good quality players. And Fulham really, really exposed that in the second half from Man City. Like, that So I think that was a 3-2 defeat in the second half, right? Second half, obviously, City had a 3-1 lead. But it goes to show that, to be outscored by Fulham in that second half, but to a point of conceding 3 goals. No, yeah, 3 goals. I think would have been really concerning. And then Fulham nearly went and got that equaliser a couple times. Kevin drove to the byline, cut it back, and just no Fulham player really got there. Josh King was in a good position. He then lifts it over the goalkeeper, but Gvardiol clears it off the line. Like, there were quite a few moments for City, even at 0-0, even at 1-0 up or 2-0 up, where I thought, this just looks a bit shaky from you guys. I don't think any team who's going for the title should ever look at any point this season, in a season, that shaky. But it can happen. I remember Arsenal at Luton winning 4-3. So, it can happen. And you have one-off games where things just don't really click for you and it happens for the other team. But like I said, bring it back to my kind of main point is I have no idea what to make of Man City. I really don't. I think they probably... do that. I'd say they play the best attacking football in the league. And I'd say they are the most potent, terrifying team in terms of their kind of all-out attack. With Erling Haaland, some of the pace and power they've got, the diverse options in attack. Yeah, I'd say I put them down as the most thrilling attacking team in the league. They're not always the most entertaining to watch. That's because they can be quite calculated and measured, but they've definitely gone up a level in terms of their goals. And maybe that's something to do with Pep Linders. I mean, Pep Linders is a former, assistant manager under Jurgen Klopp when they played with Salah and Mane, closer to Firmino. And you see Doku, Foden, players who are playing wider, and Shirky, they're able to kind of get output and make things happen from more central spaces. So maybe they've evolved in that way. And, Liverpool were also a side that would score bags of goals and win games 4-3, 5-3, 3-1, 4-2, whatever, under Jurgen Klopp. But they were just relentless and they just knew that they could outscore teams. So maybe that's just like a new part of Man City's identity. I don't know. But I keep coming back to what people always told me. When Arsenal weren't winning titles, when Arsenal were, basically not good enough, falling short, even not only in the last couple of years, but you go back to, 10, 15 years ago when we got bullied by teams, I'd always hear defence wins titles. You don't do anything with a shoddy defence, shoddy back four, and a shoddy defensive structure. I'd also hear that you can't get bullied. Physically, mentally, you can't. Like, you have to show resilience in your height, in your presence, in your strength, and strength of mind too. And when I look at Man City, yeah, they might have the goals. Yeah, they've got Erling Haaland. But they're lacking those other things. They have a mental fragility. They're letting teams back in games. They go and equalise against Newcastle, only to find themselves, conceding the winner minutes later. They lose at home to Leverkusen. Yes, they made 10 changes, but there was a lot of quality on that pitch. They then go and, as we said, throw away these leads, or nearly throw away this lead against Fulham, throw away the lead against Leeds, but turn around and get the win. And are showing teams that, yeah, you can be quite a few goals behind us, but that's not game over. Like, we are, you can get back into games. That's a really concerning message to send, I think. Oh, and Newcastle have just scored. That's a really concerning message to send to the rest of the league if you're a City fan. But ultimately, they won, and they've closed the gap to 2 points. I don't know, what's easier to fix? Is it easier to be a very good defensive side and find the goals and find attacking patterns of play and become relentless goal scorers? Or is it easier to have the goals, tighten things up at the back, and be able to essentially make those 3-4, 5-1 leads sit at 3-4, 5-1 leads? I don't know. They are, honestly, I'm perplexed. I'm absolutely perplexed by Man City. Of course, there's a part of me that there is. I won't pretend there isn't. There's a part of me that is thinking, if you had to win this game of football, if you had to win it, and I thought they would, then this is exactly the way I'd want you to win it. With basically coming off the pitch going, that was nearly really embarrassing, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. They got the win. But it definitely has got people still talking about City in a way where we're going, but what are they? How good are they? What? We're confused. And I don't think you're ever confused about title winners personally. I think you're looking at the side, you go, they can go all the way. Now, in Man City, we say they can go all the way because they've done it throughout the last 5 seasons, because of Pep Guardiola, because of Erling Haaland. But when you're looking with your eyes at this very, very team right now, if they were wearing Tottenham shirts, Chelsea shirts, shirts of any other club, Arsenal shirts, shirts of any other club that hadn't won the league 4 out of the last 5 times, you'd be going, no, you're lacking too much. The games are too basketball. You're letting teams in the game too much. You're not secure enough from winning positions. Defensively, messy. We don't know your best partnership. Is it Diaz and Stones? Is it Diaz and Gvardiol? No, too many questions. But with City, you just kind of weirdly back. You kind of weirdly back Pep Guardiola to figure it out. Sorry, I paused there for a second. I just remembered Fulham actually won at Tottenham, didn't they, the other day? So yeah, they were playing for Arsenal fans these last few days. I'm joking, Fulham fans. Let me know in the comments, people. Help me make sense of this. I really don't know what I think of City. And I suppose the question I'm trying to answer is, do I really genuinely think the City can get to a level or are at a level at which they can beat Arsenal to the Premier League title? Forget who's been there and done it. Forget mentality. Let's actually talk about the quality of the two teams. Let's talk about the coaching. Let's talk about the tactics. Let's talk about what we're seeing in the game. Because I just did a rewatch on the Canon with George. And I rewatched that first half against Chelsea. And oh my word, did we all think it was way worse than it was. Chelsea had one good chance and that was it. Because we couldn't play our football, because we were a little bit rattled in terms of the aggression of the game and the football we were trying to play, and it not coming off, I think we felt the City, or Chelsea should I say, had a much bigger upper hand on us in that game than they really did. But on rewatch, they didn't. So I'm sat here going, if our worst is a 1-1 draw at the Bridge, albeit they had 10 men in the second half, and, basically some last-ditch, challenges and 1 goal conceded. In fact, 0 goals conceded, 11v11. If that's kind of what we're catastrophizing about when we're watching Arsenal, I wonder what we'd be saying if we saw Arsenal putting in the defensive performances Man City are putting in. So I don't know. How we make sense of it? I've got Newcastle, Tottenham here. Newcastle 1-0 up. I don't imagine you'll need much of a reaction to that, but unless a madness happens, maybe I'll do another video. But anyway, everyone, Arsenal have signed 2 Wonder Kid twins. I did a reaction to that on Goonerverse News. Go check it out. I did some more analysis on Arsenal Chelsea on the Goonerverse too. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back reacting to Brentford here on Goonerverse News, and there'll be a live stream doing the player ratings after the game too. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe to the Goonerverse News if you haven't yet, and please let me know in the comment section below, what do we think of City? And you know what? In this whole video, I haven't even answered it, so I'll just answer it quickly now. I don't believe they've got enough to win the title. But they've got too many ingredients I do worry about. Or actually, let me rephrase. They've got enough to win the title, but I don't think they've got more than Arsenal outside of experience. That's kind of the main thing I give to them. Experience, Haaland, Guardiola. I think in every other part of that checklist, I think Arsenal top them. But they're scoring goals. And we need to respond by beating Brentford. Let's see if we do. Everyone, yeah, like I said, let me know your thoughts. Catch you in a bit.